Hi everyone, in this video I'm gonna talk about serverless framework. For this video I'm gonna use a TypeScript project as an example to use serverless framework. So what is serverless framework? Serverless framework, or SLS, consists of a command line and helps you deploy code and infrastructure together on Amazon Web Services. The framework is a YAML-based experience that uses simplified syntax to help you deploy complex infrastructure patterns easily without needing to be a cloud expert. It's a CLI that offers structure, automation, and best practice out of the box, allowing you to focus on building sophisticated, event-driven serverless architectures. There are two main benefits of using serverless framework. First one, it manages your code as well as your infrastructure. Second one, it supports multiple languages such as Node.js, Python, Java, and others. Now I'm gonna set up a SLS YAML file for this serverless HTTP TypeScript project. As you can see, this project has this to-do directory where I have created a to-do CRUD and I'm integrating it with DynamoDB. First thing you have to do is create a serverless YAML file. So I'm gonna create a new file called serverless.yaml. Great. So in the file, we're gonna define our service name. So service, I'm gonna call it TypeScript serverless. After that, we're gonna need to define our provider information. So provider name, we are using AWS service. Let's define our runtime, which is going to be Node.js version 20. And let's define a environment variable. This variable is gonna be DynamoDB table. So DynamoDB table. And for this variable, I want to assign self-service, which is our service name over here. So self-service dash, we're going to use our SLS variables. So SLS, and the variable that we are gonna use is stage. So stage, and just to clarify, stage for development environment is going to be dev string, and for production is going to be prod string. Okay, perfect. So after that, we will define our IAM role for DynamoDB. So our function will have permission to access DynamoDB. So I want to say IAM role statement and effect allow. And our actions will be, first one, DynamoDB query to allow our function query some information. The next one is going to be scan to get some information from database. The next one is going to be get item. After that, I want to say put item. Another one will be update item, and the last one, delete item. Perfect. Another thing that we have to specify is our AWS resource, which in this case is going to be our DynamoDB service. So resource is gonna be our AWS Dynamo service, and using this AWS region as variable, and our table is going to be our DynamoDB table variable. Cool. So after that, we need to define our functions. Each function operates independently like a microservice, and once we define a function in this section, when deployed, this function is going to be mapped into AWS Lambda function and API gateway to be available to receive HTTP requests. So I want to say functions, and the first one is going to be create. I'm going to define a handler. What is our handler? Our handler is, you can find it in to-dos directory in the create file and the function create. So I'm gonna show you in the file create. You can find that we are exporting the create function in the to-dos directory. So heading back to our serverless file, I want also to define our events. And for this function, the event is going to be HTTP API, which is going to have a path to access this function /todos, and the method is going to be post. Let's format here. Perfect. Now I want to create another function. I'm gonna copy and paste this one and modify. So the next one is going to be list, to list our to-dos. So let's change here to list file name and list function. And the path is going to be the same, but the method is going to be get. Let's copy and paste again. Now I want to declare get. So get file, get function, and here the method is going to be also get, but the path we are going to receive a ID as URL parameter. So I want to say ID here. Perfect. Now I'm gonna copy and paste one last time for our update function. So update, and here the path is the same, but the method we are going to use but. Now we need to specify our resources that will be used in AWS. In this case, we are going to use DynamoDB resource. So what I'm going to define here is what is our resource name, to use DynamoDB table, what the type, so our AWS service, DynamoDB. Another things here that are not so important, but this last one here is the billing mode. We are choosing pay-per request, but Amazon provides free tier for some of its service. We are not going to be charged for this service, but be careful to not exceed the limit. And the last one is going to be our table, which is our DynamoDB table variable. Perfect. Let's save it. Now for the next step, we are going to try deploying our project to AWS with serverless CLI. So basically what you have to do is execute the command serverless deploy. So serverless deploy. And if you don't have serverless installed and AWS CLI, I recommend you to watch my video explaining how to do it. When I execute this command by default, it's gonna use your AWS CLI profile config and credentials file to authenticate with AWS service. So I'm gonna hit the enter button and it might take some time. So as you can see, the deploying of our service to stage dev is deploying to region US East 1. By default, that's the region, but you can set the region right here in the provider, so you can use region property and write down what region you want to deploy it. As you can see, we have got some error here. Let's find out what happened here. So I just found the error, and as you can see, we are defining our DynamoDB table here using two variables, and to access self variables we have to use not a dot but these two dot. So I'm gonna save it, and now I'm gonna try again. So as you can see, we've got success deploying our service, and one interesting thing is that Serverless Framework, after deploying your application, return as output our endpoint. So as you can see here, we have got our post, get, and put endpoint. So let's try to use this get endpoint. For the moment is public. Let's try to execute it, and we have got our empty to-dos list. So it has deployed successfully, and if you open your AWS account, let's go to our API gateway service to check it. It's very important that you check your region and select the correspondent region. So in our case is US East 1, and we have got our API gateway here successfully. Dev TypeScript serverless. Let's access it, and we have here our 4 endpoints. So now let's go to our Lambda service. It should show up our 4 functions. They are here, and let's check our DynamoDB service. In the left menu, click on tables option, and we have got our table here, TypeScript serverless dev, as we put in our serverless file over here, DynamoDB table with self-service and variable and SLS stage. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope it was useful, and I'll see you in the next video.